So at the time, I'm producing, guys like DJ Laz, and it's so funny you see Laz where he first started was. I remember Laz. I think I gave Laz his first pair of Air Jordans. I went to his house one day. He had some. I don't know what he was wearing. I said, "Listen, dude, you need to put on these." And I gave him his first pair of Jordans. You can ask Laz that. Laz need to buy me a pair of Air Jordans now. All that money you got at the radio station. It's great to see these guys. How they came up, and I remember where he came from and where he's at now. That's an awesome success story right there with Laz. While I'm producing Laz, I'm also doing groups like Jam Pony Express. Me and Big Ace became good friends. Jam Pony was out way before I was making records, just making mixtapes, and they were probably the first dudes to ever do mixtapes. I know everyone says they got the mixtape now. These dudes were the original mixtape guys, and Jam Pony Express guys, and Disco Dave and those guys that were in Dade County. But produced a record for Big Ace and Dynamite called "If You Got a Lot of Booty," and that record was a huge record for them. And as a producer, it helped me out because that's the record that got this dude by the name of Lil Jon at So Def Records called me up, and that record got his attention. He's like, "Listen, I heard this record you produced. This TJ Chapman in Tallahassee gave him my number. He said, I'm A&R at So Def. We're doing this All Stars of Bass compilation. We want you to do the mega mixes, and we want you to produce some of our artists we got coming out." And that's kind of how I met Lil Jon. But that record for Jam Pony was huge. I went on to do Jam Pony's album. That became real big. H-Ski in Tampa was the dude that put out their album. So H-Ski, the man, baby. After that, got to work with different groups. I was working for everybody at the time. I was doing groups like the Get Some Crew. Did a song for them called Run Forest Run. Record was a huge record for them. Big international record. Made records for a dude named Crazy Legs. That was on Pandisc. If You're Happy, You Know It. That was a big record. And since then I produced Lil Jon, Luke, got into all these guys in my latter parts of my career as a producer. Even did the dude, you probably heard him on the Baskin Robbins commercial, Ice Cream, Cake and Cakes, dude named Chip Man and the Buckwheat Boys. I did their first record called You Got to Go. That was on TVT Records. But there's been a lot of guys I produced, that came up. I remember being on South Beach one day, and I was working with Lil Jon on the Kings of Crunk album. I just did produced a song for him. He was recording Vision. It's before Lil Jon ever blew up. He's like, "Hey man, I heard this dude on the radio, this little Spanish kid." And I said, "Oh yeah, that's the dude named Pitbull." He said, "Man, I kind of like that record." I said, "Yeah, he's he's my boy in them. He's with the Diaz brothers and my boy Robert Fernandez." He said, "Man, that dude's tight." And it just so happened we were on South Beach that night. Me and Lil Jon were walking. We were going to Sun Club on South Beach, and I saw Pitt up at one of the spots up there at Wet Willie's. And I saw him on the top floor. I told him to come on down, and I introduced him to Lil Jon right there. So, I feel like I played a big part in a lot of these cats' careers because I crossed a lot of T's and dotted a lot of I's for them. And I can say now that I'm the one who introduced Pitt to Lil Jon. And once Lil Jon got a hold of him, it was over because he kind of took him under his wing. You see where Pitt's at now. Dude's everywhere.